Okay.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben Yee.
I'm Elissa Stein, and our cameraman,
he's sick.
Oliver's sick, so we're doing this our old school, old style way, and I'm injured. I was injured actually getting ready to film.
That's true.
So that's why we
Dedication, went to the emergency room and everything
I
for
know,
this.
broken hand, but still here saying you gotta go vote
Yeah.
a week from today.
But no more stunts.
No more voting stunts. But today we're here to talk about a few things, but first of all, I want to start with the county committee meeting.
Yes,
because
so we met
finally,
last night.
we've been talking about this for months.
Like a year now.
Actually, yeah, it's been a year since they said that we were going to have a meeting. But the meeting happened last night, and I have heard zero information about it. So what happened?
Well, just so that folks at home know, if you want to see the full meeting, it was live streamed, so you can go to facebook.com/ManhattanDems, and you can watch the whole thing. It wasn't even that bad, honestly. So what happened? I'll give you a quick...
That's engaging.
I'll give you a quick...
It wasn't that bad.
It was good. It was
good.
good.
It wasn't bad.
Relative to say other
oregano.
counties,
It needs a little oregano.
a little oregano. Relative to other counties, it was fantastic. Just to let you know, we're joined today in the studio, which is Elissa's basement, by some other folks who are using it. So,
Yes.
shared common spaces.
Yes.
Anyway, so what happened?
So what happened? So my first question: did the rules get passed?
Most of the rules got passed. So several rules were introduced and vetted by the Rules Committee, and then they reported out all but one of them. So
Interesting. What
all
got
the
left
rules
off?
that were in the report passed,
Right.
and what got left off was the rule
Lobbying?
about whether or not the county leader should be allowed to be a lobbyist or work for a firm which is primarily concerned with the business of lobbying. The majority of its profits come from lobbying.
Right.
And so that one was not even brought to the floor.
You're kidding me.
Well,
That's interesting.
It's a big procedural thing, and there was some debate about this. There was an executive committee meeting last week, 5 days exactly before the meeting, which was important because there was a threshold that had to be met to introduce rules within 5 days,
All right, I'm
or to
gonna
publish
interrupt
rules within
for
5
a
days,
quick
so
second
whatever.
saying
But
there are all these procedural things that don't seem to be followed. So interesting that they thought to do that, because I got my announcement of the meeting the day of the meeting.
yeah,
So my written acknowledgement, or whatever, it's supposed to be 5 days.
yeah,
Right. So I got mine the day of the meeting with ink smudged.
yeah.
So my postcard had smudged ink, so I couldn't even read the whole thing. So if it wasn't for you, thank you so much for giving that information and for us
Do what I
to be able
can.
to share it. But there are a lot of people, and then again, the people on my assembly district. I'm the secretary of my AD 66. I sent out an email 2 weeks ago, and I was hearing back yesterday when I sent up a follow-up. This is the first time I've ever heard of this. I'm like, okay, well,
That's terrible.
I did send out an email, but people hadn't received
Right.
the postcard notification.
So what I will say about all of that is, I was talking to a district leader actually earlier today, and basically we all view this sort of as a dry run. Nobody's ever actually tried to hold a meeting in between the 2-year reorganizing
Right.
meeting before, really. So nobody really knew what the procedures were. And then beyond that, nobody had any idea how the rules were supposed to be changed. So it was actually brought up at the meeting. The last time the rules were changed in a really substantive way was 1985. So it's been 33 years.
Wow.
There have been small amendments made that went through the Rules Committee and all this other stuff, but they were non-controversial, so there was no, there was never a rule that was voted down by the committee. So nobody really has experience with this. Now, we could debate whether or not people read the rules and knew the rules and then decided to try and use the rules to their advantage. Certainly, I would say that some of these things weren't done properly, and as a result, we had less options than we should have.
Okay.
But some good things did pass,
All right, so
and it
what-
improves our options for
So
later.
now, as it stands currently with the new and improved rules, you can still be a lobbyist or work for a lobbyist.
Correct.
Okay.
But to be fair, the way that we're going to pass that rule was through a compromise with the current leadership. And our current county leader, Keith Wright, does actually work for a firm whose primary business is lobbying. And it would have grandfathered anybody in the current role, i.e. him, in. So it wouldn't have changed
self-serving.
anything immediately. Yes,
Right.
but it would have guaranteed
Changed
that
this
it
for the-
pass. It would have
okay.
guaranteed it to pass.
Okay. So if Oliver was here, he'd be giving us the silent roundup.
That's right, because we've got, whatever,
A few
5
seconds
seconds left.
Yeah, but what, so what are the new rules? What has changed that's beneficial?
Okay, so very briefly, the big rules changes are first, the county committee members can now add an item to the agenda of a meeting with signatures from just 90 members across 6 assembly district parts.
Okay.
Before that, it was 500 members.
I remember, that's what I remember. An agenda item to the main meeting?
To any meeting. As
So-
long as you submit this in advance of the next meeting, then...
Like a district leader meeting or executive committee meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry, I mean a county committee meeting, like a general meeting of the full
So
body.
basically, right, which happens every 2 years.
Well,
So if you want to bring an agenda item up for, next September, right?
yeah, right.
Okay.
You would put it in
but I mean,
now.
I guess that's better than nothing.
You could also bring up an agenda item to reconvene the county committee at an earlier date.
Interesting. Okay, what else?
That was a big one. The other 2 big ones were, now I'm blanking for some reason. The email notification of stuff. So now emails are going to be a valid form of communication. And by the way, if you want to sign up for text or email updates from the county committee, head to bit.ly/NYCC sign up. And that's all lowercase, and you'll be able to sign up for text and email alerts from the county committee.
That's fantastic. Okay, so when it comes to communicating via email, the
Yeah.
onus is on the county committee member to share their information
Correct.
with you.
Right.
So district leaders don't need to put together an email list, or assembly districts don't need to put together
They
an
are
email
now
list.
required to do reasonable effort to gather all of this.
That's great, actually.
Yeah, and send it to
That's
county.
great. So then the county, and I guess that would be you, because you're the secretary.
Yes, correct.
So you'd have access to this list.
Yes.
And so if something was going to happen, you could send out,
Right.
like, go vote on Tuesday.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to have the lists in time.
Not
but-
this time, right.
Not this time, but still, but that's tremendous.
Yes.
Being able to communicate, because that has been the most challenging thing I found for a county committee, aside from the fact that we don't really do very much, is that even if we wanted to, there's no way to be in touch.
Speaking of which, now any county committee member may request the list of other county committee members.
That's also amazingly, yeah. I mean, I believe, and I remember hearing you talk about county committee right after the 2016 election, and I thought this could be a force. Your county committee could be a force. It could be things are going on in Manhattan that this group of elected people want to make a statement about.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, and now we can.
Yes. Well, we'll see how it works in practice, but at the moment, we're taking steps to make it easier. Now we're way over time, so I
Yeah.
think we should wrap it up. There's one more big change to the rule, which has to do with the filling of vacancies in inter-county seats, but when that comes up, if it should ever come up again, we'll deal
But
with it. But
if
it
you-
binds the leaders' hands. It gives them less power
Great.
and devolves it back to the county committee.
But also, thank you, Ben, because this was a major thing, and how nice to see democracy in action and that change can happen.
I'd say like
And
10 years of my life trying to get this far.
Yeah, no, but that's great, and perhaps more people will want to get involved if they feel like they actually have a chance to do something.
And that's
the
my
fact
argument.
that we can communicate with each other and perhaps take stances on things that matter is a great thing.
Indeed.
All right.
Anyway,
See ya.
laters. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, with my injured hand.